Well, me tīmata pe ai.
Yep. Bye.
Nau mai koutou katoa. Koe ke mai, koe ke ipurangi mai ki tēnei o ngā whare ako o ako Pānuku. Ko ako Pānuku tēnei e tuku I te reo karanga, I te reo manaaki, I te reo maioha kia koutou katoa, ko tau mai. E tika hoki nei kia mihia e rā, ko takahi I te ara ki te pō, e rā kua whakarerea mai ngā taonga tuku iho me ki. Hoi o koutou nei waka ki tua o te ārai. Waiho mā tātou te ara whakamua e kōkiri, kia tau wai ngā mātauranga ki era e hiakai nei, kia tau hoki ai te tipu I te māro o mātauranga me ki. Tēnā rawa te tātou katoa. So welcome along to the Sako Pānuku live. It's a meeting this time, which is cool. You can see we will kanohi. So my name is Te Aorangi Murphy Fell. He uri no ngā tikaungunu ki Wairarapa, no ngā tiapa, no ngai tahu hoki, and I'll be your host for today. So if you have any problems during today's meeting, please just drop me a message through the chat function. I'll kind of be in the background with my video turned off, but I'll be there. And the Ako Pānuku number is in the chat box as well. So if you have any problems, please feel free just to give me a call on that. Ko wai marie Ako Pānuku I te rānei, ko tai mai tēnei mārei kura, e mohi o whānui tia, e koutou Ako Pānuku, a whae āwhina. Ko roroa nei a whae āwh, e whai ana I nei kaupapa mātuatua, I nei kaupapa matahiapo me ki, ara te mātauranga Māori, te reo Māori hoki. Nō reira, koe nei aku mihi kia koe whae āwh, ka tātou hoki ko tai mai. So ka whiua te rākau kōrero ki a koe nānei whae āwh. Kei a koe?
Kia ora. Kia ora, tīnā koe, te aorangi I whakatau mai I a tātou I tēnei ahi, me o kupu mihi ki te meninga, hoi anō kia tātou. Kia pai ai tō tātou hui, nā reira, tīnā koe te aorangi. Tīnā koe te whānau, ko tātou tēnei, te ahua nei, he whānau iti tātou I tēnei ahi, hoi anō he pai, karawhiua ngā mahi. Nā reira, tēnei e mihi atu nei kia koutou e hono mai tēnei ahi, e ngana ana kia u ki te wā, kia o tira anō hei te haurua I te whā, o te whā karaka. I te mea, hei, I te mōhi o tātou he nui o koutou mahi. No, you just need to look at Dylan's office to see that, tōna tari. Because so no mai hara mai e karima ki tēnei akoranga. Because we're a smaller group and we're running this as a hui so we can see each other, I think we've got time, I think we've got a minute to spare just to let everybody know, ko wai koe, no hea mai, tō kura a no hoki. Ka pai? So if you just remember to unmute yourselves, and let's start with you, Byron, I te kokonga. You start with you, Byron, and then we'll go down to Maraina.
Ka pai. Kia ora tātou, ko Byron tēnei e kōrero nei kia koutou. Nui aku mihi kia koe e whai. Nau hau I pakako I te timatango tēnei tau mō te NCA, nā reira ka nui rā te mihi, I whai hua, te āhua nei. Ai, no tūwhare toa tēnei, no ngāpuhi anō tēnei, nā reira, anei au no ngā hau e whai e noho nei ki te upoko o te ika, e kia nei ko te taone o ngā hau. Ko tā mātou kura, ko te kura kaupapa Māori o ngā mokopuna tēnei.
Kia ora.
Kia ora rā.
Kia ora, tēnā koe Byron. Maraina, you're still on mute. Just unmute yourself, Maraina. Ka pai. Kei a koe, Maraina.
Tēnā rā koutou katoa. Ai, tino hare koe ki te haere mai ki te nohi mua koutou katoa. Ko au te kaiako Māori mo te tau rema tai atu ki te waru, no te kura o Tāngarei, kei Whangarei, no te aupauri, me Ngāpuhi, no reira, te ora koutou katoa.
Kia ora, tēnā koe Maraina. Tēnā hoki kōrua katahi ka hono mai. Kia ora, Pānea, haere atu ki a koe.
Kia ora anō te whānau. No konei te tai toke rau hau. Engari, tipu au kei rātana pā, taha o tōku māma. Te taha o tōku pāpa no ngā rauru taranaki. Ko taku kura, ko Manaia View, he kura auraki. I mahi au kei roto I te rumaki reo. Tau tahi ki te tau tuawaru. Tēnō tau māke. Kia ora koutou. Kia ora Byron.
Kia ora.
Kia ora. Ben.
Kia ora whānau huhu mai tātou I tēnei ahia I tino paira watu. No Pōtikia hau, no te tau tapu pāpa, no te whānau Pānui, te tau tapu māma. Kei tamaki makaurau I nā enei, he kura katarika tēnei, kira tuarua. Mai, he pai rawats, he wā pai.
Kia ora, tīnā koe Ben.
Kia ora.
Dylan? Just on mute, just unmute yourself.
Aroha mai.
Oh,
Tēnā koutou katoa, tēnei te mihi hoki kia koe whai awhina I tō tautoko I tā mātou mahi, ko te Pānui. No tāwahi o ku tipuna katoa, no me o ku mātua, engari whānau mai ai ki whakatū. Ko tēnei tōku tau tuatoru whakako ana I te reo Māori. I te kura auraki kei manuhiri ki ara ko Dunstan tēnā, kei Alexandra. Toko iti nā tangata kōrero ana I te reo Māori I tēnei takiwā. Nō reira he tino wero ki te whakatipu anō te reo I konei engari koina te mahi. Tēnā koutou.
tēnā koe, kia ora Dylan. Ai, Helen. Kia ora Helen.
Kia ora, tēnā koutou. Kei o tō tāhia hau, kei te kura kare te hato makare. Yeah, kei te pirangi o ki te whakarango ki a koutou.
Kia ora. Tēnā koe Helen, ngā mihi. Nau mai.
Kia ora.
Yeah. Is it Richaline? Richaline, kei a koe.
Tēnā koutou, tēnā koe apina
Kia ora.
mo tēnei wāhanga. Ai, no panguru ahau, I whānau mai ahau I te tahi wāhi ki konei ko I te wā ka hunuku aku mātua ki te nota. I te taha tōku pāpa, no konei, ko te rarawa te iwi, te taha tōku māma ko Ngāti Kahungunu te iwi. No reira, ai, he kaia ko reo Māori ahau I tō mātene kura, te kura taumata o Panguru. E whakako ana I te reanga NTA tahi rua toru, reo Māori, reo rangatira hoki. Tahi anō au ka whai tērā mahi te whakako I te reo rangatira, no reira he mahi anō. No reira mihi ana hau kia koutou e whai wāhi kia rongo ahau, kia kite ahau hoki. No reira, tēnā koutou katoa.
Kia ora, tēnā koutou. Tēnei e mihi atu nei kia koutou no murupara tōku māma, ko Ngāti Manawa te iwi, ka toro atu tērā kāwai ki ngā puhi, I whānau mai ai taku krani pāpa I utakura. No konei, no Ngāti Raukawa, no Ngāti Toa Rangatira hoki tēnei ki te taha o tōku pāpa. Nā reire tēnei uri no te waka o Tainui no mā tātua anō hoki e mihi atu ana kia koutou o tia no tātou e hui nei. Okay, we're fast running out of time, me kare masa. We'll better get to it. We'll just better hurry up and get amongst it. So I'm going to tell you what I've planned for us today and why I wanted to run it as a hui. It was so that you could do something, so that you could actually do some of the mahi as akonga. So we've got to focus on Pānui. we're going to look at 2 language strategies today, 2 language teaching strategies today. And I'm going to get you to do a task that illustrates and examples the strategy, so you get a feel for how that works as an akonga. So language teaching strategies with a focus on Pānui, the 2 that I've selected aren't about teaching children or teaching learners to read. It's about using and putting in front of learners text that gets them to engage with the content and gets them to engage with the language. The strategy requires that they do something with that text. So I was just thinking about you, Pao. You've got akonga from tau tahi right through to tau waru. So these are really aimed at tamariki who already know how to read, that they are readers as opposed to teaching them how to read. So I'm just going to share a PowerPoint with you and step through the mahi that I'm going to get you to do. What I would ask that you have in front of you is a pen or a pencil and a piece of paper, so because you're actually going to do the task. Also, what you see on the PowerPoint, I'm not intending to send you the PowerPoint, but we will send you the explanation of each of the 2 strategies that we'll be working through today, and also the example that we're going to work through today. So you'll have a complete example and a complete explanation of the strategy. Right, all right, let's do it. I'll share my screen here, Karima. Make sure I get that right. So can you see Ako Panaku? Can you see that slide? Ai, Paiana? Right. All right, so at some point, learning to read becomes reading to learn. And the strategies are really about reading to learn. So what they do allow us to do, or allow learners to do, is to reading to learn content and reading to learn language. What reading focused language teaching strategies do require students to do is that it enables them to engage with the target language, in this case Te Reo Māori. So it puts print in front of them. At the same time, they're also learning new content, so whatever your kaupapa is. And they're also, during the process of doing the task, they're practicing really important reading strategies. So they're strengthening the strategies that enable us to read and to engage with text. So these are the 2 strategies we're working through today. One is called unwanted words, and the other one is called selective clothes. So unwanted words, what is that one about? So you can see on the slide, in a nutshell, what you're going to do is I'm going to put a text up. The next slide is a text. And in it are words that have no reason to be there. They just get in the way. They are unwanted in the text. Your job is to read through the text and decide, does that word belong here? Does that word make sense in this phrase, in this sentence? So during the process of working out which words are unwanted in the text, then you're going to be using some really important reading strategies, like reading back to the beginning of the sentence and reading on to confirm or reject the predictions. Okay? So this is one of my favourites. I have a selection, I have a group of language teaching strategies which are my go-tos, and this is one of them, unwanted words. He kupu kaore I hiahiatia, koina te tapanga Māori. So if you're ready with your piece of paper and your pencil, I'm going to put up the text. Okay. All right. You can see there's a clue down the bottom here. Rua te kau te nui o ngā kupu. So there are 20 words in this text that have no reason to be there. They just get in the way, they don't make sense. So what I'd like you to do right now, because you're clever, because I know that, you're all clever, this shouldn't take you long to do, but I'm going to give you, say, 5 minutes, and I'd just like you to write down the words on your piece of paper, basically line by line, which words are the words that have no tikanga, absolutely, kāre o rātou tikanga I roto I te rerenga. Okay? So I'm going to give you 5 minutes here, Karima. Time is on, no pressure. Let's do 1 more minute, Karima. Don't worry if you don't finish.
Who's on? What is this?
Oh, and there's 20.
Okay, kia ora tātou. Before we look at the answers, does anybody want to give us anybody want to share kind of what you did? You know, what were you doing in the process of the task? What were you finding yourself having to do?
Ai, ke nuinga o te wā, moku ka hoki muri, ka hoki anō ki te Pānui. Ka ki te kupu kari te hihia, ka Pānui tia tira rerenga, ka tahi ka ara te whakaro kari tira kupu e tino tikana mo tira rerenga. Hoino ka hoki anō ki te Pānui I te wai tango hau te kupu. Takura I Pānui tira.
Kia mōhio mai mehe mea ai kei te tika tāku e whakapai nei, kāre I pai tērā kupu. Kāre ona take. Yeah, kia ora. Ai. He whakaro anō tō tētahi? Ai? Kua tai atu ki te mutunga? Ko oti?
Ai.
Ko oti te nuinga pia?
Ai.
Okay, let's have a look. Let's have a look at the. If we had more time, we would go through this. I'd put one of you on the spot, and I'd say, okay, Byron, you read what you've got. And I mean, if you ran something like this with your class, then that's how you could do that. You could ask one of your, confident students to perhaps share what they came up with. So let's have a look at the answers. This text came from the teacher's book of Te Kākano, so the series of Reo Māori textbooks. Te Whanaketanga, Te Whanake, so this is Te Kākano, book 1, this is the teacher's book, and this text came from that. It's a lovely text in the sense that it's not a difficult text in itself, but it's got a nice, it's got some nice structure and a nice mix of structure going on, which is one of the reasons why I chose it. Apart from the content, so I mean, if you were doing something around, ngā tangata rongonui, then a text like this might be something that you would use. So in terms of using this strategy, the considerations I would advise, the considerations are what is your kaupapa of the moment, at the time? Can you access some texts that relate and align to your kaupapa? And also, do those texts highlight or illustrate some of the structure that you want to put in front of learners in terms of practice, so that they see what text looks like, what those structures look like written down in an authentic piece of work, in an authentic piece of text. So 20 out of 20, kei te tika tērā 20 out of 20, yeah, ka pai. You fellas don't need to answer that, ko mōhio, kiriwa ki koutou. Okay. We haven't got long to go, Karima, so we're going to go over our 30-minute mark. Is that okay? You're okay to stay on for an extra 10 minutes or so? I'll understand if you suddenly blink off. So we'll carry on and go through our second one, eh? All right, so this is selective close. So the difference with this and perhaps the traditional type close that we know, close activities, is that in this instance, with this strategy, the challenge is upped a little bit because there is no line, there is no indicator to show where the missing word sits. Okay. So your job is to decide where a missing word is and what the missing word could be in that phrase or in that sentence. And I've stayed with the same kaupapa in that this is also a text about te puia, right? Just to kind of illustrate what we can do around a kaupapa. Right? So let's put this up and see how you go. Again, we've got 20 words that are missing, but as you can see, there is no line to indicate where those missing words might be. So have a go. It might be an idea to maybe list your numbers from 1 to 20. Kua tata oti.
Ai.
Ko tahi miniti. And Byron, as a heads up, I'm going to get you to read out yours.
Oh, dang it. Choose the confident ones. Choose my job, Ben. He's very confident with this one. So Brian's not feeling so confident with the selective close, it iwi.
Kia kākoe.
Okay. Have a go, Byron. Ko ti a koe neha, kare.
Kari oti, engari, tera pia keo ngā rārangi timatanga.
Ka pai, kia kaha, kia ora.
Keo, kaore ngā tamariki a te puia, engari, toko maha a na whāngai. Ko tū mō kai katipa te tāne a te puia, he tamariki a tū mō kai ki a te puia.
Ai te hia haere tonu?
Tērā pia me tuari I tēnei mana nui ki tētahi atu aku hoa I konei.
Yeah, ka pai, kia ora. Ben, you want to carry on?
Ei hape, no te mane ni.
No te mane.
No te mane.
It's too far. No te mane, no, am I reading the whole lot or just where's my errors?
Where you got up to, really? Wherever you got up to.
No te mane te kau mā toru, nā rā o katopa I te tau 1952 I mati I got lost here somewhere. I mate a te pu, sorry, I've missed that somewhere. E rima nā pō, e rima, sorry, I'm trying to find out where my gaps are. E rima rā, I was just going to try and read this from the paper. Aroha mai. E rima nā pō, e rima rā. This is confusing. Sorry, I've only written the words and I don't know where they're going.
Kei te pai, no, kei te pai.
I got it all wrong.
No, yeah, kei te pai. It's probably quite difficult to do it that way anyway when you're looking up and down. So kei te pai, Ben. Does anybody else want to start from no te mane and have a go?
It's not the money yet. O te oketopa, te tau.
O te kaima toru, o nā rā o oketopa.
Ai. I'll show you the answers in a second. Do you want to carry on, Dylan?
I te tau.
Yep.
I mate aia a te puia. I rima nā pō, I rima nā rā.
Kia ora.
I takoto ana te wahine rangatira o Waikato I runga I te marae I hangai ai eia.
Kia ora. Ai.
E rima nā pō me nā rā.
Kia ora.
E tangihia e tangihia ana ia tōna iwi. E ona hoa Pākehā.
Ai.
Tukumā nā tangata I mai ki te ia runga I te maunga whakahirihira o nā iwi I runga a
I runga I a taupiri. Ka pai. Tēnā koutou.
Te.
Anei.
Whakanui ana.
Nā connections ne.
Nei tētahi. This line is a little bit tricky when you see he tamariki. Kāore he tamariki a te puia engari toko maha ana whāngai. Ka pai, Byron. Ko tū mō kai katipa tētāne a te puia. He tamariki ake. A tū mō kai I a te puia. Hea te tikanga o tērā rerenga, he tamariki ake atu mōkai I a te puia.
Pakeke.
Pakeke, ko wai e pakeke ana?
Te puia, ko ia te pakeke ake.
Kia ora.
Ah,
So Tū Mōkai was considerably younger than Te Puia. Koina te tino tikanga o tērā, he tamariki ake a Tū Mōkai I a Te Puia. Yeah. It's a lovely sentence, actually. It's a nice sentence.
Tamariki ake.
Yeah. So let's just have a look at that now that we can see the missing words. If you wanted to make that, if you wanted to provide some more support and some more clues with tamariki, if you wanted to use the strategy, but you think, okay, yeah, having gone through that now myself with the learner hat on, that's quite challenging. So how could you make it a little bit, what kind of support, what further scaffolding could you provide to make it a little bit easier for students to do this task? The strategy doesn't change, but what could you provide within the task to make it a little bit easier, you think?
Oh, yeah. I think one thing you could probably provide is a puna kupu of the missing words.
Kia ora. Yeah.
Not necessarily by the words, but maybe below the activity.
Kia ora. Yeah, that's absolutely one way you could do that. Yeah. Anybody got another idea? So here's one just to add to that list. You can see, because we've highlighted it, how many words are missing from each line. So what you could do is that you could put at the end of each line in brackets simply the number of words that they need to find. Okay, that would be another way. The other way is to obviously indicate where those missing words are. But the thing about a selective close is the challenge sits in not having the spaces identified and not having necessarily the words either. But if you wanted to make that a little bit easier, to scaffold that a little bit, to make it a little bit easier for tamariki, then that's what you could do. Yeah, yeah, hapai. Yeah. So what were you finding yourselves doing in that task? As you're trying to work it out, what were you doing? Yeah. Anybody want to share that?
Tuatahi. You know, reading to make sense.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yep.
Yeah. He tuatahi. Well, tina tōku rautaki, mōku ake. Just ki te Pānui, yeah, and looking and saying, coming up with a word and seeing if it does make that sentence make sense.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah. You think, okay, it doesn't make sense as is, so what's a word that will fit? Yeah, yeah. And it's certainly, these are the words, these are the original words that we're missing, but there are obviously some that could replace and easily replace those, one or two. So, e rimanga rā e takoto ana te wahine rangatira, that could easily be replaced. Toko maha ngā tāngata I tai ki te tangihana, doesn't have to be taua. So, and that's all good. There is some flexibility there, so long as it actually makes sense and is keeping with, you know, the general gist. Kia rere tonu te ia o te kōrero. Yeah, hapai. Anybody got any comments about that one? No? Do you think it was a little more challenging than unwanted words?
Yep.
Yeah. So it's a step.
Yep.
It's a step up from unwanted words, eh?
Yes. For me, Afina, I think in terms of NCEA, so at this present time, term 3 is external learning content, and I'm working on Pānui because most of my students have chosen to do Pānui.
Yeah. Oh. frozen up a little bit. Richaline, yeah, just, I don't know whether you can hear us, Richaline, but you have just stopped mid-sentence. Okay, I think hopefully Richaline will be able to come back to us, but we'll carry on. Yeah, has anybody got any further comments?
Mina kore mō ana ki te mō rerenga kōrero, he ahua uaua mina kua wariwari. Ki ana ko te tamariki aki a, he! Kari tā te kiti I tēnā, engari ke pai, I te mea he maumahara ki pērā.
Kia ora. Yeah, tēnā koe, Dylan. Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons why the language teaching strategies that have a focus on Pānui are so effective, in my opinion, e karima, is that they do provide the opportunity for students to see text. I mean, that's you. That's kayako selecting text that you put in front of them, where they engage not only with the content, but they engage with the language. And so if there are particular structures or, if there are particular language structures that you really want to hone in on, or that you want to expand the puna kupu, the puna reo of ākonga, then I think these are great for that, because of just the opportunity to put really good text and selected text in front of them. So on that, e karima, just as a way of kind of wrapping up our session, you know, this is the question: what are the benefits of using texts for language learning? And it's these. You're still in control of that, because you would be selecting the texts and you would be reworking the texts in line with a language teaching strategy that gets them to do something with the text, but they have to read it in order to achieve that. You can cater for students at different levels and for different purposes. And of course, they can be a really valuable time saver in the class. So yeah, we can get a lot of mileage out of text. So you could see in the Te Puia example, it's a single text, well, same kaupapa, slightly different text, but you know, the part of that text that we use for unwanted words, we could easily, I would present that same text again, but through using another strategy. So that's not the only time that they get to see that text. I would find ways to put that text back in front of them so that they get a really good feel and, you know, kind of absorb through it, osmosis, if you like, some of that structure and the words. Hoi anō, e karima, kua pau te wā kia tātou, our half an hour kind of turned into 40 minutes. Does anybody have any last minute final questions or offerings or comments before Te Aorangi wraps us up? Yeah.
Kaore, ngā mihi nei tino pūkenga ai ko ki te itahi mea hau me te ngāwari o te mirimiri tētahi ngohe, hei ngohe mo te katoa, hei tini te taumaha o tētahi taumahi mo tētahi, hei mea uawa, hei mea ngāwari rānei, nā reira. Ngā mihi kia koutou.
Kia ora, awesome, yeah. You fellas make quite a good class actually, so, you know, feel free to come back and join us again next week, same time at 4 o'clock. So we've got another Pānui session the same time, Tuesday, 4 o'clock next week. And then that's another 2 different strategies, but still focusing on Pānui. And then the fortnight after that is we're focusing on tuhituhi, and you'll certainly be able to see the relationship between the two. Yeah, so you fellas are a great class. So, you know, don't worry. Yeah, come back. We'll see you again next week if you're free.
Kia ora.
Yeah. Kia ora. Kia koe te aorangi.
Tēnā koe whaaf. Nau I nei kai whanga ki te hunga I tai hea kai mai. Miki. So we hope you all enjoyed this week. Something a little bit different rather than the webinars we've been running over the last few months. So we hope you'll leave with something new to think about. Just a quick reminder, we do have our Hui Ato coming up in September, which is 100% online. It's on the 29th of September, so you can enjoy it from the comfort of your own place. We're quite deep into the planning process now, so yeah, keep an eye on our Facebook for some more speakers and keynotes that will be coming out soon. But September the 29th, you can register through the Ako Panuku website. And like Whaafina said, she'll be running another one of these hui at the same time over the next 3 Tuesdays, so it'd be awesome to see you all back. Yeah, so ka hiki na ngā kōrero mo te wānei, a te rā wiki anō tātou kōrero. Hei kōnā rā.